My name is Tom Lane. I'm the Director of Technical Support at the Harvard University Division of Continuing Education. That division at Harvard handles the Harvard Extension School, which is primarily the evening program, but we have many programs throughout the day, throughout the year, and also the Harvard Summer School. There's also some additional smaller programs, but that's the main area within Harvard that we support. That group handles the majority of Harvard's online education, so we have more classes probably than the rest of the university combined online. Now, the main purpose of this presentation is to talk about how we support the online classes. And to give you a little bit of background, in the past we had a very distributed model for supporting online classes. We had sometimes producers who filmed the class would support students and faculty. Sometimes we'd get calls at our campus computer lab. So it was really handled from a variety of different locations by a lot of different people. About 2 years ago, we put together this team that you see right here, and this is our entire team for supporting online classes, and we decided to locate us all under one roof. A lot of us had worked at a campus computer lab before that, so we were familiar with each other. But by having us all together doing the support, it really kind of leveraged our knowledge. We were able to share our experiences in different areas of expertise. Now, if you can't see the actual titles here, that's okay, because on the next slide is really our areas of responsibility, which is much more important than actual job titles. So I'll do some quick introductions here and also describe their area of responsibility, and then later in the presentation they'll come up and present on each area that they handle, their role within it, how they approach support. Okay? So first we have Susan Goldstein, who handles web conference support. So web conference, just so you know our definition, that's when an instructor is teaching using a webcam or some other type of camera that they are controlling rather than a videographer filming a class. So Susan handles the majority of that support for us. Next we have course website support, which is Sarah Ledoux and Joanna Doe. And both of them are handling a fairly big migration from a legacy system to Canvas learning management system. So they'll discuss that. And then finally we have student support, which is Michael Kilmurray. And what I'd like to point out, especially with Michael, but all of us, is with a small support team like this and three main areas of support, we're constantly helping each other out. So these actual responsibility areas change over time. At the beginning of the semester or leading into the semester, all of us handle a little bit of the course website support because there's so many instructors setting up their courses that we all have to get involved. Web conference support, we have to sit in on the first class anytime a new instructor is teaching, which is too much work for a single person, so all of us occasionally will sit in on a web conference class. And that's one thing I recommend if you are designing a support team, is you want to have the ability to have flexible work people and even flexible hours. With us having classes that go until our latest class typically gets out at about 9:40 at night. Some of these people used to work 9 to 5 jobs, and now they're here almost until 10 o'clock, and some of them sometimes even later at night. So having flexible workforce that can change their job role and change their hours was very important to us. To give you an idea of the amount of demand we have here, this shows our growth since 2005. We've actually had online classes since 1997. You can see back in '95, the green represents what had been our traditional way of teaching online, which is lecture capture. And that's when we hire a videographer. Each class has a producer. Just so you understand our structure, we still have those producers. As you can see, we have a pretty big area of green in 2015 on the far right. Those are handled by a separate group within Harvard Division of Continuing Education that specializes in producing the classes that tend to be fairly large. So those green represent many times lectures in large Harvard auditoriums or halls in which you have a live audience. We record the lecture. People can either watch it with live streaming, or in the case, as you can see, the red, which has been expanding, those are typically rebroadcasts of classes that we have taught in the past that we then offer in future semesters. The other thing about this graph that I should point out is you can see starting in 2009, we have this little blue section along the bottom which has been expanding rapidly. That's the web conference classes that I described at the beginning. So right now, as you can see, Susan's workload has been going up quite a bit lately, and we do want to get her some help. That's a lot of work for one person to supervise. So we are looking at expanding our team to accommodate the increasing workload, and this is just going to increase. Right now we're at over 350 classes. This is per semester, so going into fall semester we'll have somewhere around 370, 380 online classes that we'll be supporting. In addition to the online classes, we're also supporting, for about at least double that number, we have course websites for even classes that are not online. Our team supports all course websites, and we'll discuss that a little bit later. Okay, this is where I had been working since 1997. It's our campus computer lab, and in the early days of online education, we did a lot of the first work out of this building before it got moved to a new department. This particular lab is an on-campus lab, so students in the extension school are walking up and using this as a drop-in lab. We also have classes there. We decided to locate our group within this same lab, so we basically took over a classroom. Everybody in this group behind me all work in a single large room, well, I guess medium-sized room, and having that support that close to each other is really helpful. It allows a lot of, if people have questions or problems in their area, they can just turn to somebody right next to them. That's a little bit different. Most people think of online education, well, the students are anywhere. Well, if you can keep your staff all in one location, that's a huge benefit if you're able to do that. The other reason we located in the computer lab is, in addition to this support team, we still have student workers who work at a help desk right next to their office that offer phone support for about 100 hours a week. And that way, if students are having problems and they call our hotline number, it'll go directly to that help desk. And then this team offers second-tier support in addition to answering first-tier email support. So we handle all email and second-tier phone support that comes in to the help desk. And to give you an idea of where you're going, I mentioned 3 main areas that we support. Well, each one of those is undergoing some pretty dramatic changes right now. First of all, with video lecture, that's the lecture capture. We're moving from a legacy system that we developed in-house over 10 years ago to Matterhorn, which is open source. So right now we are supporting both the legacy system as well as moving to the new system of Matterhorn. On the website side, Harvard had something called iSites, which was our legacy system that we built many years ago, I think during the mid to late 90s. That's being retired. It will be retired within about a year. So we've been undergoing a migration plan for the last year and a half, and we're actually ahead of the curve, and Sarah and Joanna will talk about that during their presentation. And then finally, web conference. Unlike the other two, we didn't make a decision a year ago. We're actually in the middle of the decision-making process on that. Currently, we're standardized on Blackboard Collaborate, but we also have quite a few classrooms that use Adobe Connect. With our teaching base, we have a lot of instructors from different universities, and they're used to teaching in their particular, using certain technology, so we're forced to accommodate those requests, which is why we actually have 4 different web conference programs, and we're trying to evaluate them and decide, do we want to move off of Blackboard as our recommended system and move to something like Zoom or Adobe Connect or even GoToMeeting. So that's part of what we're evaluating right now on web conference. And to go into more detail on web conference, we're going to have Susan come up and show the support that she does. Okay.
So I apologize in advance that I am going to be speaking very quickly, so bear with me. We have a lot to cover. So why are we using web conference at the Division of Continuing Education? A very important reason is that we want to have a worldwide reach for to get students from all over the world. And the students who do join the web conferences are very dedicated. We have people in Australia and in China. They'll wake up in the middle of the night to take their class. Also, it's very convenient, not only for the students who can take the classes from home or from their work, but our instructors as well can do it from the comfort of their own home. And again, we do have instructors who are distributed around the world, Mexico, Israel, all over the place. And also, if the instructor is traveling, they don't have to cancel class. They can teach their class from a hotel room in Albania. We also find that the students are very engaged in these online classes, in the web conference classes, as opposed to other types of online courses, because they're able to do things like work together in breakout rooms. They can speak to each other in real time. You can do polling, so it's really great for building a learning community. We have a lot of classes that are fully online, about 87 of them going into the fall in the web conference model. I'm sorry, I need to go back. Oh, sorry.
We're using the clicker.
Sorry, where's the?
We got the clicker.
Sorry about that. So we have a number of classes that are fully in the web conference, and we also have a lot of classes that are used in conjunction with our other types of classes, where just the sections use the web conference, and those are led by a teaching assistant. Also, another reason that we use it is for our online students to give presentations. It's really important to get our instructors up and running at the beginning of the semester, particularly our new instructors. We spend a lot of time getting them ready at the beginning so that hopefully they will be autonomous by the end of the semester, and usually after people have done it a semester or two, we almost never hear from them. So the way that we do that is first we have a meeting with them where we don't even really show them the web conference platform. We discuss things like teaching online. Some of our instructors have never taught online before, but they may have taught at DCE for a number of years. We also have people who have taught online before, but not at DCE. So we'll talk about the policies and procedures of DCE in that meeting, as well as ways to engage your online students to build community, such as giving a survey to really learn about the backgrounds of your students and other things like that. Also, after they have that first meeting, then we have an online training in the actual platform that they will be using, and in that instance they sort of get the feel of what it's like to be a student. And then another really important thing that we've started doing is what we call a dry run. And we have the instructors prepare about a 20-minute class of what they think they'll be doing the first night of class, and we invite another instructor to team up with them. So it's an hour-long meeting, and the first instructor will teach about for a half hour, and the other instructor will act as a student for them, and they'll pick up a lot of tips, and then they switch roles. After that dry run, as Tom mentioned, during the first night of class, another thing that we found is really helpful is having a technical support person in the room for our brand new instructors. And we do have to call in more than just our team. We do have these user assistants and some other people that we will call in to help us with that. And they will help both the instructors with technical issues as well as students to try to work out any problems that the students may be having. We've also found that it's really important to get our students trained. Even if they've used one particular platform, then they need to know how to use the other one, because if one student is having technical difficulties during the first class, it can really derail everything. We've also experimented a little bit with having some additional training from Blackboard's Collaborate, which is our original platform, which is kind of mixed results on that. In the future, we're hoping to have more training. We're expanding all of our online offerings and support at DCE, and we now have somebody who is specializing in training online instructors, so we're hoping to work with her to do that. At the beginning of the semester for support, we need to do a lot of logistical work, setting up rooms, getting that information to the instructors and the students. And then, as I mentioned, during the first class meeting, we have that technical support for all of our new instructors. For our instructors and TAs, they have a direct line to both myself and Michael, who actually helps out a lot with the web conference. They can reach us by phone, by email. Also, they have the option of going directly to Adobe Connect or Blackboard Collaborate if they're using those tools. The students as well, first they will probably call our user support help desk, and if the folks there can't help them with, like, usually the questions are, you know, I can't find the link to my classroom at the beginning of the semester, so that's the type of question they get a lot at the beginning, and also help trying to get their headsets to work. That's the sort of thing they can handle. If it gets more complex, they will transfer the call to one of us, or sometimes we'll again send them on to Adobe Connect or Blackboard Collaborate. And as Tom mentioned, right now we are in a transition. We haven't been all that happy with Blackboard recently. We started out way back when it used to be Illuminate, which is a product that was made by instructors for instructors, and then Blackboard bought it. You know, back in the day, it was like, oh, this is great. Web conference is such a wonderful thing. We weren't all that choosy. We were just happy to have it, and actually it worked pretty well. Since Blackboard bought it, the technology isn't quite what we would like, and the customer support has been kind of up and down. So as Tom mentioned, we did have a few instructors who were already using Adobe Connect, and they seem pretty happy with it. So for the first time in the fall, we are letting all of our instructors choose between Blackboard Collaborate and Adobe Connect. So right now we're actually trying to, you know, showcase Adobe Connect for our new folks. So as you can see, we found that one size does not fit all. And so we would, as much as we would love to have a platform that met everybody's needs, unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that. So anyway, we will quickly move on to Canvas from Joanna is going to, no, Sarah is going to talk to us next. Okay, thank you.
That's okay. Hi, everybody. I'm not a huge fan of microphones, but I won't fiddle with that right now. So I wanted to talk about Canvas and our website platform migration. As Tom mentioned, we're going from a legacy home-built system called iSites, which has been in use since 1998. And many instructors are very, very dependent on it. And people love it for whatever reason. But we have made a choice as a university after a small pilot program of 2 terms, where we participated in the first pilot term with 1 course and in the second pilot term with 15 courses, to go to an open source commercial out-of-the-box system called Canvas, which many of you are probably familiar with, since it's becoming a bigger system within the university and K through 12 market, and choosing to customize those things locally to fit our needs. And it's not always been smooth sailing. We have a lot of, Canvas is a very polarizing platform, and we have a lot of instructors who either absolutely love it or really hate it. But our strategy has been, well, let us make that site for you just a content repository. So if you're uncomfortable migrating to our new platform, we can just put your files up there and let your students access it. And we find that students go to the professors and say, why aren't you using this neat tool that my other class is using? And that drives the professors to call us up and say, hey, why aren't I using assignments and SpeedGrader and these discussion boards? And we said, hey, we talked to you about that, but we can implement it next term. So we find getting people in on the ground level where they're comfortable and then ramping them up to power users in future semesters actually works really well for our transition. We also offered to, the first 2 terms, we offered Canvas after the pilot program was in fall 2014. We asked for volunteers. So it was a self-selecting group that came over to Canvas, and we framed it in the context of those instructors would be able to change the face of Canvas at Harvard University. They would be able to really greatly influence how it looked in the future and how we built it. That term also marked fall 2014 when we doubled our local little support staff for the course migrations. And you can see since then we have ramped up. We're going into fall 2015 now. We have a projected number of 90% of our total courses. That's 750 at DCE, as well as probably another 200 or more at other divisions that we support, including professional development and HLR, to be on Canvas. We're having a little bit of fallback back to our legacy system since it's still around, but it's no longer supported developmentally. So that means tools are starting to break. By spring 2015, we will be at 100% migration over to the new system. But we are always trying to focus on things being learning and teaching focused. So we never want our technology or our website to be a barrier to teaching and learning. And a lot of that comes in with us supporting professors, students, and doing really great course design, which I'll let Joanna talk about.
So kind of how do we get to migration and how do we implement and manage it? So the first step was all these trainings. We first found that calling them trainings and asking people to show up as groups didn't really work. They kind of trickled in and out. They'd kind of come in late. They'd leave early, and so we were trying to rethink how we're going to do training that can really encompass what their needs are, but also give them a better understanding of what Canvas looks like, because that's the main point of training, is to introduce them and then kind of slowly focus them down and customize it to them. So we kind of started calling them different things and we broke them out. So now we have consultations, workshops, and one-on-one office hours. Since we are a distance school, we offer one-on-one office hours in person as well as virtually. So we'll hold them over phone calls or Skype so that we can look at the same thing, and that's really important. One of the other things is simplifying and decluttering the course navigation. So if any of you have been on Canvas, there's a whole host of tools that not all professors are going to use, and especially as Sarah was mentioning, they're used to a legacy system where there's like certain tools and they know what they are and they don't really want to do anything else. So really important for students is to pull those out, because then they're going to click on these tools and be like, there's nothing in them, I don't understand. And that's kind of where our default template comes in with the little black buttons and yellow buttons. We wanted to give them kind of an out-of-the-box template that they can work with. Part of it was to kind of move them away from like a 1990s, web era interface where it's like, here's a picture and here's a text. It was really important for us to make this intuitive. So you push on a button and it takes you to the page that you need to be on, versus if it's a content repository, I have to look for the folder, look for the file that the instructor is referring to. This way, you click, and it takes you there. The other part of this is we have this little thing called the Instructor's Pocket Guide to Using Canvas right under the booking appointments. That lives within our default template. So it's not only are we hosting an environment for students within Canvas, we're trying to do it for training for instructors too. So we have little videos to get them started. We have all the information and resources that we have directing us to our website and our signups. And finally, we have for our instructors who just want to go at their own pace, maybe they don't want to come to meetings, we have Canvas 101 that they can just go through. It introduces them through Canvas by letting them interact as if they were a student and go through the tools that they think are useful to them. In our consultations, what's really important is we first want to understand where they're coming from and what they were using in their old legacy. And we kind of discuss what are the actual outcomes you're looking for, not how you've presented it, but what are the goals that you want your students to take away from your course. And then we start talking about it, and then we start going, well, this is a tool you might really find useful, And for the things that maybe it doesn't fit exactly within Canvas, we often do a lot of research and test out things where we pull other educational tools that we can either integrate right into Canvas or kind of direct them to. So it makes it more interactive and engaging instead of just, here's I'm turning an assignment, here I'm clicking to watch a YouTube video. Canvas will host all of that for them. So after the training, we offer support, of course, right, because there's all the questions that happen once this semester starts. So first is for instructors, we have office hours still. One of the things that we incentivize instructors to come meet with us is, hey, we have a personal relationship with you now. We understand what your course material is. When you call us, we're not going to have to start all over again. We're going to really be able to streamline and figure out what the issue is or recommend something else that would work for you. We also support phone and email. Email, if you remember that graph where we really ramped up, our emails are really ramping up. We have the help menu, which takes you, right, it's within Canvas, and you could submit a ticket within there as well. We have print and online resources, and we have personalized platform introductions, which means that we will go to the class itself and kind of give them an overview of, like, students, this is how Canvas looks like for you, particular to this course, and how you're going to use it, or we are also willing to record them and make them available for the distance students. So because Canvas is so customizable, we can't just make a general video and say, here are all the tools, because some of those tools won't be used in a course. So when we're making the websites, one of the biggest things we're trying to drive home is that it needs to be learner focused. Again, we don't want you to be having to search for things, whereas that idea of that legacy system is there's a folder and an instructor has to, like, say it in a lecture or send an email going, well, you're going to go to week 1, you're going to go to folder this, you're going to look for this file name, and oftentimes instructors don't exactly name their file names very well. So this way, they literally just click on these buttons. At the top it says overview of the course, peer review, week 1, and then it lists all the assignments and the information they need right in one page for one specific class. Or if they're doing like resources, they just go to resources. They don't have to flip through a ton of content. We really try to emphasize to instructors that consistency and simplicity are best. Don't throw a ton of text up. Don't throw pictures up. Really, let's talk about how to have a look and feel to your course that makes it integrate, that feels personal to you. And remember, this is your face to your students, right? This is the first interaction they're going to have. So this is one where you can really homogenize it and make it look the same icons. Every time you look at an icon, you know what that means for your course. Or you can also just, much more flexible, just, it's more free form. Some instructors, we just want to give instructors options, and that's really important when you're trying to migrate and manage them over and changing expectations, especially for the people who are very stalwart and stuck in there like, well, that's how it's been and that's how I want it to be, to let's think about this again and let's, make your course more interesting, more engaging, and a much more encompassing environment for what you're really trying to do.
So back to the back end a little bit. We also really need to make this course design have readability online and on mobile across many, many devices, and for a lot of users. We're serving users around the world, and we also need to make it clearly editable and easy to use for the instructor. So we're using a combination of HTML5, CSS3, and some old school HTML tables to serve our design. We find the tables give a low bar of introduction for editability for professors, and it also serves as a fallback for people who might have older systems that can't process HTML5 or CSS3. And everything is reshuffleable. It's built on a Bootstrap grid as well, so that every device will be able to display your information and your course material consistently and in an organized fashion. We're also implementing some small JavaScript implementations that will make it a little bit more dynamic, but we're going slowly with those things. We also are building custom tools at our division, as well as using tools built at the university level to customize this out-of-the-box solution. So as I implied in our volunteer semesters, we allowed professors to give us a lot of feedback, as well as students. We always want to hear criticism, because unless we have that, we're not going to improve. So we've built a number of tools that will improve the distance online experience, including this tool over here called Hello World, a little nod to the computer science world, but it is called Say Hello to the Students, where students are able to record a YouTube video right in the Canvas platform and introduce themselves to the class, or submit text only if they don't have access to a webcam or maybe are too shy to use it. That's a really great tool to get a community built when students are around the world. We can see this one layout map of our student locations tool, where every bubble is volunteered information for students to post on this map of their location around the world. So this class is represented in 5 continents.
Sarah,
yes.
we got to move to Michael.
Sure. So we got to move on. And we also have the DC Course Admin tool, which allows us to administer courses very quickly. And I just want to give you guys a little bit about distance exams here and how they're being improved in Canvas, and we're increasing the integrity of exams. We have a proctoring service that is built right into Canvas, or we can implement in Canvas, where students can take exams and be recorded, and their screen is recorded, and the integrity of our exam system is increased. We always want to emphasize that our website platforms are our professors' portal to their students. So this is where they are really interacting with your course material. This is where they're interacting with you, and sometimes it's their only way to interact with you. So the course website platform is integrating web conference, lecture video, and all of your material. So it's an important thing, and I'll move on to Mike.
So from the support side, as you saw with the Canvas site, we have all those things integrated. This is how we track and handle all of our requests. We use an incident-based ticket system. We're on ServiceNow. Part of the reason for that is the entire Harvard University IT department is on ServiceNow. We're 300 people, our Division of Continuing Ed, out of about a 12,000 person Harvard system. So we're brought into the general fold. Part of that is, as you see up here, we have these 3 shields. Our own Division of Continuing Ed is the Extension School, our Summer School, and our Harvard Institute for Learning in retirement, but we're also one of 13 Harvard schools, and we're sort of at times an epicenter of dealing with instructors from all the other various schools, even students cross-enroll and enlist in different classes. So we use this ticketing system. We might get a phone call, an email, or a walk-in, and that could be student, instructor, or staff, and in some case they are technically all 3 at once. So it is a lot to sift through, a lot of overlapping and pre-existing support structures that we have to pipe into. And our job is just keeping track and make sure everyone gets the support they need as quickly as possible. For a little closer look at ServiceNow, the way we make sense of this all is these tickets will come in, and we have 6 major templates that we apply to each one of these incidences. Distance education video, course websites, ID, PIN, and registration issues that fall under sort of one category, general lab and under other questions, the exams that Sarah was just speaking about, and web conference, and then really any other thing that comes up. So these are the 6 templates, and real quickly, just a general idea of how much ticket traffic we get. Since the day after Memorial Day really is when we began ramping up for the summer, up through last night at midnight. We had a total of about 750 tickets. Of those, about 150 were video, over 300 were course websites, about 50 were general registration issues. The lab and other questions is sort of our catch-all category. It's about 175. Very few on the Proctor Live exams, about 6. And web conference had roughly about 50 for the summer. The first week alone, we had 200 tickets. So that is general ticket volume for us, and the summer is very condensed and short amount of time, but a decent amount of traffic. So between all 4 of us and Tom, we handle those for students, instructors, and staff. On the student support side, primarily we are supporting students watching lecture videos, among other things. We have a dedicated educational production team, the producers, that have been mentioned earlier. They handle all of the tech for the live streams, but whether it's our legacy site, the image on the left, or our new open source Matterhorn, we support students, and it's often flash-based questions, updating browsers, some general things. But at night, the way that we monitor our live streams is thorough communication with all the other teams involved producing any given course. So that would be our academic technology team behind us, our help desk, the lab that's open 100 hours a week and work phones, our producer teams, and even our developers. And we use HipChat, which is part of the Jira and Atlassian suite of support products. On the right-hand side, we have everyone at the evening who's on board. On the left-hand side, we have the various support rooms. So our evening support room is active usually from about 5 p.m. till about 10 p.m. every night, and during the summer, it's often kicking off around 10 a.m. On the right-hand side, we also monitor all of our server status, whether it's website, whether it's the various video servers, even our extension school website servers, because we get questions regarding that, and our mobile servers for the mobile video. Oops. So at the end of the day, we find that we field questions from students, from instructors, from staff, from the 3 divisions within our own school, and from the 12 other schools that comprise Harvard. So we really are involved with multiple departments in our own school, multiple schools, and multiple departments in each of those schools. Between the 4 of us, as Tom said, we are going to be expanding, but this is the overall structure that we take to provide student support, instructor support, and staff support for any of the online courses. Question? So now to questions.
Yeah, I think we're a little short on time. Thank you, Michael. We might have time for maybe one question in front of the room, but we are going to hang around afterwards, so if you have any questions, just come on up and ask. But any questions, if anybody wants one question? Okay. Yeah, I think we're okay right down there and back.
Are you guys part of the Canvas Unison?
Excuse me?
Are you part of Unison?
Unison?
Yeah.
Is that part of Canvas? No, I don't. No, we're not. Yeah. Okay. All right, so I think we are out of time, but please feel free to come on up and chat if you'd like. Thank you. Yeah.